Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome, my name is Aiden. I'm so happy that you are here. Please ignore my nails. I need to take my nail polish off, but I wanted to film while there was daylight. So you probably aren't going to see this for a little bit, but I just was watching the press conference for the University of Idaho murders, and that's just been, as an instructor, that case has been just horrendous. And so if I feel a little down, I was just watching it and just pulls at my heartstrings a little bit, trying not to cry. So anyway, I wanted to show you all of the palettes that I wore within a month. Now I've been doing these, so it's like middle of November to middle of December kind of time period, and I went through 8 palettes and I wore them all at least 4 times just to give a good idea of what they all are like. Some of them were planned, some of them were not planned. So first up I have Dominique Cosmetics Berries and Cream. Then I have Norvina by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I have the Desi and Katy Friendcation palette from A Dose of Colors. This one pulled the sticker off another palette. This is the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette, so that one was not planned. That was a new purchase. Then I have the Marc Jacobs, what is this one? This is the Flamboyant palette. Then I have, this is an old one, the Kat Von D and Too Faced Better Together palette. So you have 2 sides there. I used it as one palette though. Then I have Colourpop Butter Me Up. And finally, I have the Naked Heat by Urban Decay. So like I said, I wore each of these for 4 days. Some of these were considered more fun palettes and some were considered more work palettes. We're going to start with Berries and Cream. I'm going to swatch them all and then tell you my thoughts on the palette. The Berries and Cream palette by Dominique Cosmetics is a 12 pan palette. It's very large. All of the pans are very large. You have a variety of kind of berry tone shades. You have a blue, you have a black in there. Then you have a couple neutrals in there as well. You only have 2 true shimmers. Well, I guess you have 3 shimmers here. And then this is kind of a odd one. It's kind of what I think Toddy called a sequin shade. So it's like a matte with some glitter in it. As you can see, they swatched really nice. They're very soft. The Dominique Cosmetics shadows are very soft. I have an easy time working with them. Sometimes they're a little too bold for my tastes because there's a lot of bold shades in here, but they work really nice. They're very pretty. This is probably the least like it performs the least, and that's the Sugar Cookie. That's this very light shimmer shade right there, which is probably the one that I would wear the most, but I do really like the colors in here. This is the type of color scheme I am drawn to, and I really like the formula. So this is definitely one that will be staying in my collection. I really like it, and I think it was a really good one. If you find it, I know that she's reformulated and changed her packaging and stuff, but if you find this one, I would pick this one up because I think it's a good one. Moving on, let's look at another similar tone palette. This is the Butter Me Up palette. Yes, you can see that this was the order that I was going to wear them in, and this is a Colourpop palette. This was one of their holiday palettes. It is a similar color scheme. You also have 12 shades, but this is a much more compact palette, less product in here. You do have a couple that are chunky glitters, like super glitters. You have this one right here, and you have this one right here. I'm not going to swatch those because they don't swatch well, and they're not ones that I wear, and they get a big mess as I'm trying to go through and review and swatch these things. So those 2 will just trip me up, but I will swatch all of the other 10 to give you an idea. But just know, like a chunky glitter, their typical chunky glitter formula. So that is what they all look like. There are some very pretty shades in here. This is, like I said, the 10 shades minus those 2 chunky glitters. This shimmer is very blinding. This silver is very blinding as well. I really like those 2 as shimmers. There's this purple is a pretty one too. I don't really like a lot of the bottom row. These 2 are sequence shades with that glitter in them. This one was just super rough, and even like this shade here, it was like a lot of kick up on it. It really didn't perform well. Like there's a lot of fallout that I had to blow away. So there's some pretty shades in here. I like the color. I love the packaging. Like, that's one of the reasons why I picked this up in the first place. This was a collection. They had like 3 of them or 4 of them, and I totally wanted them because of the packaging. Do I think this was worth it? Not especially. This isn't a palette that I would necessarily recommend unless you want like 4 or 5 shades out of here that I think are really nice. But other than that, I don't think it's a palette that I would recommend. It's an okay palette. It's staying in my collection, but it's not one that I absolutely love or anything like that. Let's do this one. This is the Kat Von D and Too Faced Better Together palette. So each one of these, they're magnetic. They have 6 shades in there. So the Kat Von D is kind of gothic looking, you know, you have a lot of smoky tones, you have that red in there. And then on the Too Faced side, they're more springy type shades. There's a couple of pretty dark shades in here too. So you have, you know, a couple lights, a couple darks, and then all together they look like this. They have different shade, like the way that they put them in there were indicative of the palettes that they did themselves. So let's swatch them, kind of give you my idea, tell you what I thought of it. So that's what they look like swatched. Can you even see some of them? So this is a very light shimmer here, and then you have a very light pink and a very light white there. They are so terribly light. Like, it's ridiculous how light some of these shades are. I think this was a clever collaboration because you had these 2 pretty different palettes, but they kind of worked together. Like, 2 of the looks that I did with this, I combined the 2 palettes, and then I did like a look with each one of them individually. I love the red. Like, the red that's in this one, I really, really like. So this is this half right here. So we have the gray. This is a really nice one too, this shimmer. I like the shimmers and I like the red. The black, the gray, the white, they're just okay to me. They're not shades that I really reach for or enjoy. And then on the other side, I kind of like the 2 shimmers that are in the middle, but all in all, I don't think this side was that great of a palette. I definitely think the Kat Von D side, that formula was a better palette than the Too Faced one. I'm going to keep it though because I think it's fun. I do enjoy it. Like, it's cute to look at, and I do like that red. Like, I don't have any red like that anywhere that I know of in my collection. So I do want to keep it, but it's definitely one that if you missed out, you lucked out. You didn't. I got this on clearance too, so like at least I didn't pay a lot for it, but it was not the best quality, so you didn't miss anything at all if you didn't get this one. Next up, we have the Marc Jacobs, and this is the Flamboyant palette, and I'll let you see how he says flamboyant. It's an interesting one. I also love how Marc Jacobs makes these like come out to a sentence. So it's, hey girl, hey, you slay on the runway, serving up eleganza, extravaganza, eleganza, I don't know, for your life. So here is the shades. They are pretty dark and smoky, and then you have that red in there. Obviously, I was feeling a pop of red this past month. All right, so that is what the 7 shades look like swatched. Obviously, the mattes are a little lackluster compared to the shimmers. The shimmers are beautiful. They are soft. They are pigmented. They have like a presence to them. I love the Marc Jacobs formula for the shimmers. I'm so sad that they are no more. I was really hoping that they make a comeback. So maybe in 2023 they will make a comeback because there's so much from Marc Jacobs that I just really love. Like the moisturizer I'm using right now is their Youthquake. And I know I have one more container of it, maybe 2 that I found on clearance at Ross. And I'm loving them. They're still sealed. So like, I'm not going to use them all at once, but yeah. Bring back Marc Jacobs. They had such good products. I mean, this red is stunning as well. Definitely keeping this one. Not my favorite color story, but the shimmers in here, I definitely like, especially those first 4. Those are definitely shimmers that I would wear. We are halfway through and we have the Dose of Colors palette. This is the Friendcation, which is Desi and Katy, which apparently they're YouTubers. I've never followed them, so there's a lot of big YouTubers. I came on and like I followed a few people. Some of the first people I followed were like Samantha March and Jen Loves Reviews. Like I saw her stuff, and then like Tiffany Dawn, which it's been very sporadic. I never followed a lot of the big YouTubers. The only big ones I follow now are Kathleen Lights and Emily Noel. Like those are the 2 biggest. But I never really got into a lot of the other ones. So, yes, apparently they were a big thing. So this is what the palette looks like. You have, basically, it's a warm tone palette with 2 blues on the end, and the blues are honestly my least favorite because I don't enjoy blue eyeshadow on me. So let's swatch it and see. So this is what they look like all swatched. Obviously, some of those shimmers are absolutely stunning. This one that's kind of like a bluish purple is beautiful. This is the one I've used the most. Like, you can see that there's kind of, I don't know, maybe you can't see, but I can tell that there's like a significant dent in this one compared to all of the other ones. And I've used this one a little bit. This is not a palette that I reach for a lot. These are not, like, the mattes are good, but I need some lighter shimmers for my personal, how I feel. This color is not, I'm not a fan of this greenish, bluish black. Just not a big fan of it. So there's some nice ones in here. Some of the mattes are nice. They're a titch scratchy. They're not like super soft or smooth, but they performed well. It's one that if you really wanted it, I'm sorry that you didn't get it, but I don't think you missed too much. Like, it's okay, but it's not my favorite. I think the packaging like is stunning, and I love the packaging aspect of it, but I think I'm going to declutter this palette, just because it's not one that I love, and I might have a friend who would get more use out of it, because really, like, I like the shimmer, and that's not even like the best shimmer for me. Like, I can just use a Super Shock shadow for that. So I think I'm going to declutter this one, but we'll see where it ranks in the ranking, because this might rank higher than some of the ones I'm keeping. Let's do it. Let's look at the Retro Glam palette from Natasha Denona. I saw this and I was like, oh, I want it. It has lots of greens. I don't wear that much green. I don't know why I was like, oh, it's so pretty. I like the greens. I really like the pinks. Like, that's really what stood out to me. I've used almost everything. I don't think I used this shade down here, this jazzy. I'm trying to think. I think I might have tried everything else, at least a little. This one doesn't look too touched, and neither does this. Oh, this one here, this Maxi, and this one here, Oz. I don't know if I've used them a ton, but a lot of the other ones do have some dents in them. So let's swatch the 15 shades in here. So I had to swatch a couple of these a couple times just because they were so light, and they just needed a little bit more. I think part of it is my fingertips are getting a little dry from all of this swatching and wiping off. So do know that most of the mattes from here, this one on, were double swatched. So that's what they all look like. They build up really nicely. Obviously, there's some beautiful shades in here. I really like, I mean, this shade was one that I reached for quite a bit. This one is nice too. It's more of a mint green. I love the mattes in here. And you have her cream to matte formula here, and I love that formula. I think it's such a good formula. I really enjoy it in her other palettes that I have as well. So I'm glad that I purchased this one. Do I think it's worth whatever price it is now? Are they 67? 69, something like that. Not necessarily. I would never buy any of these without a discount. So I got this one 20% off, which is definitely the range that I'm looking for. So with the 20% off, yes, I would get it. I would hope to even get it cheaper than that. So I would wait on these. I do like this one. I think it's nice. Is it my favorite of hers? Probably not. I think the retro is still my favorite, but I do like the greens in here. But only on occasion. Like, I'm not going to be wearing greens a lot of the time. We're looking at the Norvina palette next, and this palette was one that as soon as it came out, I was like, I love the colors. I love the purples, like, and I think of this as a purple palette, and I'm like, there's really not that much purple in it. There's like 2 purple shades, there's a few pink shades, and then there's some nice, you know, neutral shades in here too. It's a little cool tone, but there are some warm tones in there, so I think it's a good, like, all over the place palette, but it still feels cohesive, if that makes sense. I like that there is like a base shade. That's something I always appreciate with shades, and I like that there's some light ones that I can use in my crease, as well as some darker ones. I didn't need quite so many shimmers. Like, there's equal number of shimmers and mattes. Like this one, I don't need a super dark shimmer. I'm okay with a super dark matte. So we're gonna swatch it and go through it. This one has 14 shades. So there they all are swatched. As you can see, there's some beautiful shimmers. There's a lot of them that really pack a punch. And then you have a good variety of of mattes as well, not neutrals. So yes, I think this is a really good palette. I really enjoy this one. It is definitely one that I want to keep in my collection, and I need to reach for it more. I say that, but then I'm also trying to constantly like declutter palettes and go through and use all these palettes. So it is definitely one that I want to keep. I think it is a really good one. I think it's a good one for work, but it also feels a little bit more fun because it has those pops of purple in there. It doesn't feel like, you know, just a super neutral palette, even though there's so much neutral in it. So yes, I do love this palette. Definitely one that I would recommend. Like if you don't have the Norvina, this is one of the best that they did from ABH before they went and got like super crazy and doing way too many palettes all at once. That one's a good one. We're on to the final palette, which is the Naked Heat by Urban Decay. I've decluttered almost all of my other Naked palettes. I think I kept the Naked Reloaded, the one that has the orchids on the front. That's the only one that I have kept. I have decluttered all of the other ones. So we have lots of warm tones in here. We have a few shimmers. This is a 12 pan palette. There are 4 shimmers in here. So you don't have a wide variety of shimmers. You have these two here, and then this one, which kind of is very similar to this one if I'm honest. And then you have a dark shimmer here. And then it's just a gradation from light to dark. All right, that is what they all look like swatched. So as you can see, it is pretty dark. So you have a couple that are lighter, and then it just gets darker and darker. And then you have this one that's kind of here in the middle. That's that shimmer. That's probably my favorite shade here on the palette. That's this shade right here. That's the shimmer. I do like this one. This has like, it's a satin type shade, and then you have the mattes. This is an okay palette. Like, I think of all of the Naked palettes that I've tried, this is my favorite, maybe second favorite. I don't remember the Naked Reloaded right off the top of my head. Like, it isn't recent enough that I can do a direct comparison, but I think this one, the quality is a lot better. I have the same problem with this one though that I had with the Naked Cherry, and that's just that, you know, they're so similar in the shades, you can't get a wide variety of looks. Like, I feel like I'm repeating the same look basically over and over and over again, which I know other people really like. I do like some of the shades. Like, I just want to keep it for this shade right here. And this is one that I had marked with a question mark. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to keep it or if I don't. You know what? I think I'm going to declutter it. I don't think it's the quality. I think this is a good quality. I have been impressed with this as a Naked palette. But I don't think I would reach into it too much or get enough use out of it. There's other palettes that are similar in shades that I just like so much more. Okay, we have come to the ranking. We're going to start with the palette in last place and work our way up to first place. I want you to let me know where you would rank them or where you think I'm going to rank them, or both. Like, pause the video, let me know what you think is going to be where. Okay, that should be enough time. All right, here we go. In 8th place, in last place, I'm going to put the Colourpop Butter Me Up. Yes, I'm keeping this palette, but I just think, you know, it has 2 chunky glitters in it, 2 strikes against it right there. The shades are nice, but I'm not going to be wearing a lot of these colors all of the time. So it's not my favorite. I do like it. I'm keeping it. I think it's a beautiful, I think it's a beautiful palette. I just don't see myself reaching for it too much. There's better palettes in this countdown, and there's better palettes that Colourpop has done. So it's not one that you should feel bad that you missed if you did miss it. Let me know what your thoughts are on it if you did pick it up though. In 7th place, I'm going to put the Kat Von D and Too Faced Better Together palette. I don't think this was the best palette ever. I think it was a clever idea. I think it's cute. I love the packaging, but altogether, it's not really something I'm going to be using a whole lot. I think the Too Faced shadows are just okay. I like the Kat Von D ones a little bit better, but they're not always the color scheme that I want to wear. So I am going to put this, keep it, but it is in 7th place. In 6th place, I'm going to put the Dose of Colors Desi and Katy palette. I think this is a nice palette, nice enough. It's just not a lot of colors that I wear. I feel like the mattes are just okay. I like the shimmers better, but like 3 of the shimmers are not ones that I wear a whole bunch. And really, I like this shimmer the best. And it's probably the most lackluster of all of the shimmers, to be honest. So yeah, it's being decluttered and it's in 6th place, which brings us to 5th place. And I'm going to put the Naked Heat. I think this is a good palette. It's ranked higher than all of those other ones. I think if you're looking for something more monochromatic and you want similar looks all the time, this is a good one. I think the quality is good. I do like the quality is good, but other things, it's too repetitive for me. I don't want to have the same look all the time. I want to have a little bit of variety with those looks. In 4th place, I'm going to put the Dominique Cosmetics Berries and Cream. I like this palette quite a bit. I love the mattes in here. I think they're really good quality. The shimmers are okay. I wish there was a little bit more to this shade here, but I think it's a nice palette. It is one that I would recommend if you find it to pick it up. So that's in 4th place. In 3rd place, this might be shocking, Natasha Denona Retro Glam. I like the formula. I think there's some beautiful shades in here. I really like the formulas in here. I like the shimmers a lot. I like the cream to powder, but I feel like it's not one that I'm going to reach into every day. So that's why I ranked it a little lower. And I don't know if I like the shimmers quite as much as the shimmers in my Marc Jacobs. I just love these 4 shimmers right here. They are so good. These are fine. The other 3 are fine, but it's really those 4 I really, really love. So the Flamboyant palette edges out Natasha Denona just a little bit, which means in 1st place, I'm going to put the Norvina palette. I think the quality is there. I think the color scheme is here. Like, it's just a good staple palette. It gives you some neutrals. It gives you some pops of color. So I feel like it feels like a fun palette, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a fun palette. It can be a good work palette too, which is like the perfect mix. So yes, Norvina makes it into 1st place, edging out Natasha Denona, which I did not think was going to happen. Anyway, let me know how you would rank these. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.